Hey, it's Sean Fox again. It's another edition of the Vinyl Frontier, and I kind of put off doing that this month because Record Store Day is what I wanted to feature. Record Store Day was last Saturday, the 21st of April, and Record Store Day is a pretty cool thing. Record Store Day started in 2007 by some guys who are really trying to push people back into record stores for a long time in the late 80s, 90s, and certainly into the 2000s. When CDs were all the rage, and then of course downloads. The mom and pop record stores were closing up shop fast. There was a lot of them. Some survived, some barely survived, and then some made it through to now with the record, the vinyl resurgence. But a lot of those stores went away, and then the big stores like Best Buy and Walmart and Target, they were the place that everybody went to go buy their CDs, which really they could buy them cheaper, a little bit cheaper, than they could buy them at mom and pop stores because there's a little bit more overhead, you know. So Record Store Day was to kind of get people to go back to those mom and pop record stores. The record stores I grew up with were cool because not only did you go in and get to flip through all sorts of stuff, they were kind of a hangout. You could sit there and join your friends going through stuff. You end up meeting people that you've never talked to before or become friends with them because they like the same music you do. Or just sitting there talking to the guys and gals who run them or own them because they are big music fans too. So they spend time there and they love talking to the customers who come in. And eventually you go in so often that you're no longer really a customer. Now you're a friend. Now you're somebody that they come in and they call you by name as you walk in and say hi. And hey, by the way, Sean, I found the new Motley Crue. It's coming in, came in last week. You want to take a look at it? That's the kind of thing that I miss about record stores. Luckily, there's more of them around because with the vinyl resurgence, it's really helped them come back. It's actually helped a lot of them come back from when they closed. There's a lot of them that have never made it and have not come back, but there's still some now that have come back and not only surviving but thriving record stores. So you got to thank Record Store Day for doing that because they are really ones who've been pushing people now since 2007 to mom and pop record stores. That was the whole reason for it. One of the great things about what Record Store Day is doing too, which is now an International Record Store Day. I think the website might be recordstoreday.org or .com. Check it out, you'll find it. To keep people going in, every year there is a release of things that are collectible. They're limited edition stuff. There might only be 1,000 of them made, or 1,500, or 2,000, 7,000. Either way, it's a limited run of specials that you can't get anywhere else. Maybe they are reissues. Maybe there's an album that was never put on CD before, but now they're putting it on an album, and there's only 5,000 of them. So now you can buy a new version of it. Excuse me. But either way, you're finding new stuff that you couldn't find before. Really, really cool collectible stuff. So my general manager and I, Jack and I, went down to Marshalltown last Saturday and drove down a really, really neat little town. The main street is mainly businesses, and it's right downtown there. It's a place called Wax Ecstatic, which you can find them on Facebook. What's great about these guys is they were in a store right next door, a storefront right next door to where they were. They decided to move into this place. It's a little bit bigger, and they could do more with it. They were planning to at least be open by Record Store Day. They had a lot of stuff to do. They had a lot of stuff to move. They had a lot of stuff to build. They had a lot of stuff to do to get ready, and of course, life gets in the way too. So luckily, they were supposed to be open like a month ago. Luckily, they made it in about a week's worth of time left because they finally opened last week and they were finally open for Record Store Day. So Jack and I made a trip down to Marshalltown, which is about an hour away from Waterloo Cedar Falls. We loved being down there because it became an event. Once we pulled up, we knew where we were going without even knowing the address because there was already a line of people to the door at Wax Ecstatic, which is great because that already says something about, hey, these guys are collectors too. These guys know what record stores are about. They are there for Record Store Day. They know about it. And it wasn't a huge line, which was great because if it had been a huge line, Jack and I would have been like, what if we get in there and we can't get the stuff that we want? Because again, it's limited edition and they may have only gotten 2 or 3 copies of something. So you take your chance when you do that. So we got in line. We were able to talk to the people in front of us about what they were looking for, what specific releases. Jack wanted to go down specifically because when Record Store Day has this day coming up, they put out a list on their website of all the different things that they know are going to be coming out. Lots of different stuff, plus they'll give you an idea of how many were run. Maybe there was only 500 made, maybe there's 1,000 or 7,000. They give you an idea of how many there are. That helps a little bit, but the fact is when you look at it, 50, 60, 70, 100 some stores around the country who are also buying this stuff from their distributors. You can only get 1 or 2 pieces, or maybe you can only get 3, or maybe you only get none because somebody else got them before you did. So it's a hit or miss kind of thing, which is almost kind of like a treasure hunt too. So when the doors finally opened, we got in and they had the tables set up, so they had all the new Record Store Day releases out of the tables, so you could go in and look through. Jack already had an idea. There was a Jimi Hendrix 45 RPM single that he wanted. He knew what he was going for sure. I really didn't have anything specific that I know I was going down for, but I wanted to see what there was. And honestly, this stuff, it tends to be a little bit more expensive because they are limited edition. I asked my wife if I could have some money to go and get something that I was looking for, and luckily I got my allowance so I could go and find something that maybe I could walk away with from Record Store Day 2. One of the main things, and this is what I saw, I went through about a half of a table and I saw this. Everybody knows I'm a big Prince fan, which, by the way, Record Store Day landed on April 21st, which happened to be the 2nd anniversary of the day we found out Prince had passed. So when I saw this, yoink, I had to have this one. So this Prince, it's essentially 1999. It's called 1999, but the original album that came out in 1999 was a double album. It had 2 records with a lot of music. This hasn't ever been released except for in 1983. It's a 7-track version, which means there's only the 7 songs as opposed to, it was like 15 or something like that. This is the only time, and there's only 13,000 copies of these made worldwide. That makes them even more collectible. That means out of 13,000 people, which there's more than 13,000 people in Cedar Falls alone, much less around the world, I have one of these, and it's pretty collectible. So what's great about this is that it has the hits. Side 1 is 1999, Little Red Corvette, Delirious, and a song called Free, which is one of the great tracks. Side 2 is one that I really am happy about, because this is one, side 2 has some of those deeper tracks, and actually some of my favorite deeper tracks. Let's Pretend We're Married, Something in the World Does Not Compute, Lady Cab Driver, which is also one of my favorites. So I saw this, I had to have it. It had the hype sticker on it. It's got the Record Store Day emblem sticker saying this is specifically for that. And HQ 180 vinyl pressing. That means it's 180 gram vinyl. That means it's also thicker vinyl. Thicker vinyl means it's a little bit better sound, plus a little bit more durable. These don't bend and wobble like some of the other thinner records. This is a much thicker piece. The thicker the vinyl, the better the sound, because the grooves can be deeper, having more information in the grooves. Before I get this out, a little quick tutorial about for people who maybe haven't really handled a lot of records. Maybe you're younger, you're just getting into it. The best way, the only way you really should handle records so that they last and they stay clean, when they're in the sleeve, first of all, you pull them out, chances are the sleeve opening will be at the top, so that way you don't slide it right out and it falls on the floor. You want to hold it like this, put your hand here and slide it out, and as you slide it out, don't touch the grooves on either side. I'm holding it. What I do now is put my fingers up where the label is. As you can see, it's touching the label, not the record. And now my finger oils and dirt are not touching those grooves. With the oils and dirt in your fingers, the oils can get in the grooves, and they do as soon as you touch them because you have natural oils. And then that stuff collects dust and dirt. And not only does that ruin your needle and stylus, but it also takes away the sound quality of what's in there. So you just gotta be really careful. This is one of the great things about vinyl. Not that you have to be careful, but because it's something that you want to take care of. You know, you're not gonna have a diamond ring that you don't have looked at every year to make sure the diamond's intact and it's cleaned and they check it and make sure everything's good. It's kind of the same thing. You want to take care of your records. So you pull it out, you hold it like this, you don't ever touch the grooves. I debated not even opening this because it's collectible and I'm weird that way. I've got records that I've never opened up and I never will, just because I know they're pretty collectible and someday maybe worth something. But I had to open this one because eventually I want to hear it. I have not played it yet, but I will. But what's cool is the fact that it has the original type of label with Prince's eye there, just like the original 1999 album. So again, you put it in the same way you got it out. You hold it the same way I told you. You put it in there and slide it in without touching the records, without touching the record grooves. That way, keeping them nice and clean. And then you slide it back in the same way. You always want the opening of the inner sleeve to the top. That way you don't have the record falling out by mistake. So I had to have that piece. Another piece that I had to have, and Jack eventually did too, he had to get this one. I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan. So this is really interesting. This has never been released this way before. What's special about this is that it has Rock and Roll on side 1 and Friends on side B, but never been released this way. There's a Sunset Sound mix and an Olympic Studios mix. A whole different mixes. I know, it's weird. Who cares? People like me, people like other Led Zeppelin fans, we care that there's different mixes, and now we'll be able to hear them because they've never been heard before. Of course, great little hype sticker. There's the Record Store Day emblem. And what's great about some of these collectible things is that a lot of people know what picture discs are. And colored vinyl is also a big rage, a lot of big things. This is also one of those colored vinyls. And again, I slide it out the same way. Really, really cool yellow vinyl. Friends on one side, Rock and Roll on the other. And they even put in the actual 45 adapter on the inside there. They didn't have to, some people already have them, but just in case your record player didn't come with a 45 adapter, they've got it ready for you so you can start playing that right away. But how cool is that? Really cool yellow vinyl. So yes, there was about 5 or 6 of those there too, and I grabbed one, Jack grabbed one, and by the time we left I know that there was no more there. So also very, very collectible and limited release. Record Store Day is a lot of fun. Hopefully you get a chance to get out and visit one of those wherever you are. You can find out a lot of different stores who are participating in Record Store Day through the website recordstoreday.org or .com. Check it out. You can find a lot of stores in your area that way. And hopefully even more in this area will be starting to do that. I know I'm working with one locally, a record store in the area that I'm hoping to kind of get into the Record Store Day thing where they can start carrying some of that limited edition release stuff by the time the next Record Store Day comes around. So the closer we get to that and the verification that I have when it's done and we're going to get that stuff, maybe there'll be another vlog at that point saying, hey, there's a record store here in this area and they are going to have Record Store Day collectibles. So I'll tell you more about that at this point. One of the great things about Record Store Day is that it's been getting bigger and better all the time, and some really big artists and bands have gotten involved with it too because they're fans of music and they're fans of vinyl. The very first Record Store Day, Metallica spent hours at Rasputin Music in San Francisco meeting the fans, signing stuff, and there's been a lot of other really, really cool ambassadors of Record Store Day. Ozzy Osbourne was one of the ambassadors for Record Store Day. Jack White, Iggy Pop, Dave Grohl, one of my all-time favorites. He had a blast doing the whole Record Store Day ambassadorship. Metallica, and so many more. So if you ever get a chance to visit a record store, first of all, any day. To me, I'm a vinyl guy, every day is Record Store Day. But there's a specific day you can celebrate, like Christmas. It's like Record Store Day. Sometimes they have it twice a year. Most of the time it's just once a year. Last year they had it in the spring. They also had another Record Store Day on Black Friday, which is a great thing. I think they should do that every year because sometimes Black Friday rolls around and you're thinking, what do you get the person that you think already has everything that you don't know what to get? Well, these highly collectible, limited run editions of things, they aren't going to have this stuff. So you could surprise them if they're music fans. You could surprise them with a piece that they can't get anywhere else. So that's another reason why I think Record Store Day should have that on Black Friday every year. Even if they don't do one in the spring. If they do one in the spring, great, they have 2. But otherwise, I think Record Store Day should always be on Black Friday just for that reason, So again, Record Store Day was a blast. Hopefully you get to enjoy it. Check out the website when you get a chance. Also check out the Facebook page for Wax Ecstatic in Marshalltown, Iowa. It was pretty busy too. It was a really, really, really cool store. But then again, I love record stores. You can be a dump and I'm probably still going to like your record store. So that's it for today's Vinyl Frontier, the Record Store Day edition. Check me out next month for another one. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I have an idea, but it may be not what I have an idea for. We'll see what happens. Next month should be a good one too. So check it out next month, another edition of the Vinyl Frontier. See ya.